morning, 11 Warriors. Welcome back to the 11 Dubcast this morning. I'm here with the site's lead producer, Chase Brown. Chase, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, George. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm excited to talk about as loyal Buckeye fans as we are, we got some exciting announcements yesterday that the fan game day experience would be changing quite a bit going into this Ohio State football season. So if you've ever bought tickets, or at least recently bought tickets, or you are a season ticket holder, or you're just paying attention to what's going on with Ohio State football, you probably heard yesterday that AD Ross Bjork made an announcement that there are several components of the fan day experience that are changing for Ohio State football games this season. As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan myself, I thought the most particularly interesting among those was there's going to be an introduction of an Ohio State style terrible towel. I don't know if it's going to quite be branded as terrible. It's actually being branded as the towel. So it'll be interesting to see how the fans respond to that. Going into game day this year, they also announced that there will be a Scarlet Out the Shoe event, which, they've done stuff previously for that, but they've typically announced those, I think, sooner to game week or during the game weeks as opposed to this far in advance. So we're going to be getting a Scarlet Out the Shoe for the Texas game in the opener. The Penn State game is going to be a blackout. And there's also a helmet stripe game that's going to be for, I believe, the Ohio game, which I think is the third game on the schedule in September this year. But given everything that Ross Bjork announced yesterday, Chase, I'm curious, what stands out to you the most as the most intriguing activity or plan that Ohio State has tried to implement for its fans going into this football season?
I have just loved in years past, particularly in the past 3 years, George, that Ohio State has made such an emphasis to honor the legacy that Archie Griffin has at Ohio State and in college football. Whether it was the spring game, I believe now 3 years ago, where they let Archie Griffin run in the ball, go untouched 25 to 30 yards into the end zone, was a really great moment. You have, as of last season, he dotted the I, and now they're bringing him in to be the first victory bell ringer to kind of set the tone for the Texas game. So I thought that was a nice touch as they're trying to. Ross Bjork has said repeatedly now, he said it in a statement, and then he said it a couple of times during his press conference this morning or Tuesday morning, was that they're trying to honor tradition while also trying to evolve it. They're not trying to get rid of what makes Ohio State special, but they're just trying to tweak a few different things here and there to make the game day experience more enjoyable for fans who are spending money to come watch the Ohio State football team play. And so I thought that was a nice touch to kind of honor the tradition. Most notably, I think people probably have the most thoughts, George. I don't know what you would think about this, but Caamp being the headliner band and the song Ohio being the headliner song for game days, particularly in the first half. I am a Caamp fan. I will even admit, though, that it does seem like maybe an interesting choice for a game day experience. I'll be curious to see how exactly they use it. I'm not sure it's the song that's going to pump people up, but it might just be something that can bring people together.
I can't say I'm too familiar with the choice, if I'm being honest, so I'm probably going to refrain from listening to it until the day of the first game and just see kind of how it plays out and build my opinion based off of that. I will say it seems like in most of, at least when I was a student, they were going with Seven Nation Army and all
Right.
the very general college football pump up song choices.
It's not that. I can tell you that
Right.
it's a folk band from Columbus. I love that they're honoring a band that comes from Columbus. The lead singer went to Upper Arlington, but I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to the Seven Nation Army, the Hell's Bells. It's not really that kind of song. So I don't know if Ohio State has just marketed it a little bit differently than they should. I think most people are reading it as this song is going to be sort of a pump up song or a hype up song for the game. I don't see it fitting that mold, But Ross Bjork did kind of allude to it being a song where maybe they'll play clips of people from across Ohio who are supporting the Buckeyes and kind of bringing the state together. I can see that being an avenue, but yeah, it's definitely not the Seven Nation Army type song, the Hells Bells that we've been accustomed to for years.
Well, speaking of excitable fans, were you surprised that it finally has taken this long for Ohio State to join its Block O sections together? For so many years, they've had the Block O North and the Block O South, and one of the big changes that Bjork announced yesterday was that those two sections are finally going to come together into one harmonious Ohio State, very excitable student fan section. Do you think that is a good choice, or do you think it was better served to have two different sections of loud student fans at opposite ends of the stadium for the purpose of facilitating experience, or is it going to be better now that the two of them are coming together?
I think it'll be better. I think the ability to combine all the students in one particular section, especially one that is as big as the South Stands at Ohio Stadium, I think that's a good call. I also think, too, I've seen some people who have much more knowledge of what the game day experience looks like from the marching band perspective say that maybe the marching band will be a little bit louder on that side of the stadium. Maybe they can devote some more resources to certain speakers and to certain, environment pieces that they can put in to make the band a little bit more of an all-inclusive experience. I also was thinking too, as you were explaining that, George, the North student section always sits next to the opposing the opposing section for the opposing team. That's where the parents sit. You can always see a little bit of a stripe of about 4,000 to 5,000 people from the opposing team that are sitting right there. I don't know how you balance those two things out. Does the student section mute out the opponents? Do the opponents mute out the student section? But I just think having one particular section dedicated just to students could create an environment that would be a lot of fun, and could be something that the students can really take pride in.
So I think it's interesting the timing of these changes relative to two of the experiences that happened last season. I believe prior to these changes coming out that there had been people, not just Ross Bjork, but other people involved in the program that spoke about the impression that the Oregon experience, that traveling to the Autzen Zoo in Eugene, Oregon, had on the program, and what kind of impact that fan base, given the much smaller size of the stadium, but still being known as one of the loudest in college football, what kind of an impact that had in terms of the experience of traveling there last year, combined with the extra stops that they kind of pulled out for the college football playoff when they were hosting Tennessee for the first game played at Ohio Stadium in December in school history. How much do you think those two experiences had an impact on the decision making here to roll out these new changes going into the national title defending season ahead?
Yeah, I think it had a tremendous impact on the way that Ross Bjork wanted to approach the game day atmosphere at Ohio State. Particularly, I think the Tennessee game was one that opened Ross Bjork's eyes a lot. That's not to discredit the Oregon game. I think everyone that I've talked to, whether they were a player, a coach, a fan, or a porter, they said that's one of the best environments that they've ever been in. But when you talk about the Tennessee game, it was not Ohio State running the game day experience for that game. The college football playoff brought people in to run the game day experience. And so Ross Bjork was watching other people operate Ohio State's toys. And I think he was able to see, well, this is what we do on game days. College football playoff comes in with a fresh set of eyes and says, oh, wait, maybe we can play some different music here. Maybe we don't have to cut away to a fan giveaway every time there's a timeout, every time Fox wants to cut to its dozens of TV timeouts during a big noon kickoff. We don't need to have people run onto the field to talk about this, that, or the other. So I do think that there's going to be some great improvements when it comes to just the overall flow of the game. I think I remember that being something that stood out in particular for the Tennessee game, was that fans were always buzzing. There was always a buzz going throughout the stands. There wasn't ever a lull. And so I think some of the changes that they're making are trying to keep the engagement up more consistently and allowing fans to experience the big moments and have those big moments last.
Well, I'm certainly envious of you folks that are going to be around Columbus this season to experience what the changes are like for the fan day experience ahead. I haven't been back for a game myself since the team beat Michigan State back in 2023, but the next time I go, I'll be very eager to see how these upcoming changes have affected the stadium atmosphere for the better, and I'm sure Chase, as a member of the beat, you're going to get to experience it firsthand in pretty short order. So I'm sure you're pretty excited to do that. But we're about 4 weeks out from the season now, so we'll see in pretty short order how these are going to affect the upcoming slate. But until then, Chase, thank you very much for joining me on the Dubcast this morning, and we'll be back tomorrow with another installment. Take care, folks.